Hi, my dear community, how are you? Today we are here to talk about the term uncanny. What's the meaning of uncanny? Stay with me and we shall find out. The term uncanny, the way we use it nowadays, was explained by our very famous Sigmund Freud. He came up with this idea of explaining how the uncanny is represented in arts and literature through psychoanalysis. And first of all, we should discuss the etymology of the word uncanny. From the German unheimlich, it is a word which is traced to the homely, meaning something that is familiar. The problem is it contains a prefix which is un, meaning not or without. Therefore, we begin with a problem because, according to Freud, this is an implication of repression. What's the meaning of this? If heimlich or homely is the familiar, when you add on before it, you remove the familiar. But the familiar is still there. You see what I mean? So there is an implication of repression in the whole term. What does it mean? There should be something we are familiar with or we know, but unfortunately our mind has repressed it to the point we cannot remember it consciously. Something happens in life which may be rather unpleasant, and this memory comes back not complete, so we feel uneasy, we feel uncomfortable, and probably frightened because we cannot explain what's going on. That is the uncanny. If I had to explain it in terms of physical feelings, say that you have an accident and you hurt your arm, but you do not pay attention to it, so you repress the pain and the uneasiness and everything that goes with it. Sometime later, you feel a pain in your wrist, and you feel uneasy because you cannot attribute that pain to anything. Unfortunately, that pain is connected to the injury to your arm. So unless you find the explanation to the origins of the pain, you will never be able to solve the problem. All right, that is as far as the etymology, which leads to the translation into English or the connection to uncanny. That's where my channel comes in, because uncanny, as you may know, means eerie, strange, or in a bad way strange, something that makes you feel uneasy. The intention with that is probably to stir you a little bit and make you think. What do you know? Let's see what comes next. I do believe I have a good example to share with you. Let's see if it is true finally. Listen. Unhappy is he to whom the memories of childhood bring only fear and sadness. Wretched is he who looks back upon lone hours in vast and dismal chambers, with brown hangings and maddening rows of antique books, or upon odd watches in twilight groves of grotesque, gigantic, and vine-encumbered trees that silently wave twisted branches far aloft. Such a lot the gods gave to me, the dazed, the disappointed, the barren, the broken. And yet I am strangely content and cling desperately to those sear memories when my mind momentarily threatens to reach beyond to the other. How shocking is it that someone would speak like that about memories? But it does happen. So why is this for me the perfect example of what the uncanny is? Because we were talking before about this feeling of not being at home, even though something is familiar. So a memory is something that may be either as strange or as familiar to you as whatever, right? Maybe you just buried the memory in your subconscious or unconscious, depending on who you study. Subconscious would be Freudian and unconscious would be Jungian. And that memory remains there for a while, but suddenly an event or a situation triggers this memory, not completely, but with a sensation that you know the event, and it causes a feeling of fear because you are familiar with the situation now, but not completely. So this is exactly what the narrator of the story is telling us. And just in case you're wondering, it is The Outsider by Howard Philip Lovecraft. I would say one of my favorite stories ever. For which reasons we may discuss later, but I attribute a certain meaning to it, which is very special for me. All right. Maybe you have another story in which you can find this connection to the uncanny. If we think about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, there's a moment in which Poole is talking to Utterson near the end of the story, and Poole tells Utterson that there's someone in the laboratory and that this is not his master, because he knows his master, and this person has a different height, a different size, and a different face, and that he has the sensation that there has been murder committed. Of course, Poole is not aware of the complete situation, but well, this is an uncanny feeling. Maybe there's a familiar story for you, or a family story, not familiar but family story, some story that is told in your family and that has this uncanny feeling. And well, as for me, I am simply fascinated with the concept. That's why it appears in the name of my channel, because when I bumped into it the first time, it was a bit difficult for me to grasp the complete meaning, but then once I thought I understood it and I could apply it, I thought it was so fascinating, because it has to do with things which are hidden but are still there, and they have a trace that connects to the present. So it was like mind-blowing for me. Okay, hoping you have enjoyed my video and that it has been of use. As usual, I will ask you, please subscribe, share, and give me likes, and I will very much appreciate it. And we'll be meeting soon, okay? So, bye-bye.